Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here, back with another episode of our RimWorld Wasteland Let's Play. I apologize for the episode that we missed at the end of last week, but as I said, and many of you guys saw the post, my girlfriend was sick, so I ended up staying at her place for a couple days and wasn't home to record, but now that I am, I'm catching back up on my recordings, and so things should be business as usual. Again, if you were unsure about scheduling, this series has been going up every Tuesday and Friday. And I post all my videos at 7 a.m. my time, which is Pacific Standard Time. Not that that really matters, just as long as you know what days, I guess. But anyways, last time around, we had been working on the southwest sort of quadrant of our base. We've expanded the power room a bit and dug out some of these hallways, which are going to lead to our big storage areas. And so we should be making some progress on that today. I don't know how much we'll get done, but we will try to do some of it. Let's see. Regarding water, I keep having people tell me various things, and unfortunately none of it is correct. So the reason why we still have contaminated water is, and as soon as I kick this off, it will show that again. Any second now. There it is. So contaminated water. It makes no difference what I do at this point. We need the deeper well. That's the only thing that's going to fix it. So right now we have the standard water well, but there is a deep well. We are going to be researching that fairly soon. There it is. Until we have that contaminated water is not going to change. I tried everything, even including various cheats, just to see if I could get rid of it. And no, so even draining this isn't going to help us. Having this active doesn't help us. Putting it in a different place doesn't help us. I think some people are kind of confused or have some misconceptions about how this mod works. Basically, water in this mod is identical to electricity in the base game. So as long as the various objects are connected to your plumbing, they all function as they should. You don't need to have the water go through the treatment center first and then to one thing and then have a separate waste line. It's just like electricity. There's only one flow. There's no directions or anything like that to it. And so I had people telling me to remove the pump and put the treatment center there or put the treatment center down here. None of it matters, and I've gone through and proven that to myself, at least, with the dev tools. So I've actually used the dev tools to move this stuff around and then test it. None of it matters. The only thing that's going to fix our current issue is the deeper well, because the toxic fallout just isn't going to go away with simple water treatment. So for now I have the water treatment off because it's not going to remove the major source of contamination, so therefore there's no reason to waste that electricity. Speaking of electricity, we are having not any issues necessarily, but we're on the verge of some. And so you may have noticed when I opened the research tab, I did bump something ahead of geothermal power, and that's this biofuel refining. That's the research we need to start turning our fecal sludge into chem fuel. And then once we have that, we can start turning the chem fuel into electricity. And so that'll help us and give us an alternative source of electricity inside the base. So something that we don't need to put outside, like a geothermal generator, which again, I'm trying to avoid at all costs. If it comes down to life or death, I will put a geothermal generator out here. But that's something, again, I'm trying to avoid because it's not exactly lore friendly. Nor is it really the best idea. Again, putting stuff out here means we have to venture out to defend it, whereas right now we can just hole up in our vault pretty safely. Okay, so with that out of the way, we did get a new name for Vandriel. She's now Jaxa, and I think that's everything, so let's get this rolling. I haven't been working on the combat armor very much as of late because I've been focusing more on the Warhammer stuff, and in order to do what I want to do with this Warhammer mod, I've had to look into making vehicles work in RimWorld again. There was a vehicle mod for Beta 18, it never got upgraded to 1.0, And so I've had to take it upon myself to make that a thing again. And I'm having some issues with it, but I have made significant progress, so it may be a matter of time, I don't know. But there's just a few issues I still need to iron out. And then once I have that done, I can incorporate it into the Warhammer mod, along with a few other things I want to do. And for those of you waiting for that playthrough, I apologize, it's taken so long, but the mod has become a lot more comprehensive than I initially intended. So, early on, oh, we better get that fixed. Okay, good. Early on, it was just going to be like a Space Marine faction, basically. But then obviously there was stuff that came up that required me to kind of have to scrap my initial plans and do a little bit more. And then once I started doing that, I got carried away and have made something far more all-encompassing than I intended to. But I'm really happy with how things are coming along, and I think you guys will be blown away by the final product. At least I hope so. But yeah, that's what I've been doing lately. Let's keep these coming here. I'm going to try to get the walls filled in as they go along. And I think that's the center of this here. So if that's going to be a room, then I suppose we'll make the door there. I think I will call that a separate room just so that we can run this hallway all along here. I like having my hallways on grids, it's just easier. So we'll keep that one down here, and then if the room next door is also a stockpile room, that's fine. As I mentioned last time, at least I think I mentioned this last time, it has been a while. But anyways, it's a good idea to keep your stockpiles in separate rooms. They don't need to all be in individual rooms, but if you have one giant stockpile room and like a fire breaks out or something, then there goes your stockpile. So having, you know, one here, one there, something isn't the worst idea in the world by any means. So let's actually mark that out here. Probably bring it down to about there. I want a nice thick boundary between us and the outside. Although, again, and I have mentioned this several times, I know that for a fact, the optimal wall thickness, there we go, is 2, because anything in between the two walls is considered outdoors, and we don't want that, because it effectively lowers the insulation. So this is not optimal in terms of temperature, but if we have sappers, we want the thickest walls possible, and I think sappers are a greater threat to us than temperature is. So, well, maybe not. Sappers are kind of infrequent. However, given our main defensive strategy is just kind of to hole up in our vault, I think preventing or protecting against something like that makes more sense than worrying about, you know, a little bit more power consumption because we had to run our heaters a bit more or our coolers a bit more. Also, with research, I've tried to make things a little bit more efficient. So what I did was I changed Pearl's priorities around a little bit. She's still doctoring first and foremost because she is our main doctor. Oh, somebody was starving there for a second. It must have been one of the Gormons we have that get hungry really quickly. Anyways, she's still going to be doctoring first and foremost, but her main job now is going to be research. And she's going to be doing the day shift. I've moved Locke onto a night shift. He's still going to be doing research as well, but that way, when he goes to bed or she goes to bed, the other person should take over. And we should ideally have somebody researching 24/7. Oh wow, it's going to be a lot of walls to build. That's okay though, we have a ton of marble blocks, so I'm not that concerned. It's just more about manpower than anything at this point. So we'll do that. That will block off the steel. Actually, no, we can still get at it from there. And once we dig out that hallway, we'll, you know, be able to do it too. So let's fill that in, and we'll do this as well right here. I'm going to forbid that corner, because otherwise they won't be able to get in there. And the same is true here. Once they do those embedded ones back there, then I'll go ahead and fix it. Cool, and we got a little bit of silver out of that too. That's always nice. Our warehouse is coming along pretty quickly. I might tear these down. Yeah, let's make the door a little bit bigger. If this is going to be storing stuff, I imagine we're going to have people coming and going quite frequently. And again, the bigger the doorways, the bigger the hallways, the faster people move through them. They are pretty quick on that. So that can get unforbidden. Let's grab this now. And we will do the same here. Oh, that I believe. Yeah, don't want to fill that in. Okay. I'm going to ask them to mine these out as well. And I think there should be... I'll do it when they finish over here. There's no rush on that part. Nope. There we go. Let's make sure that gets hauled. And that can be unforbidden. So we're doing pretty good. In terms of stuff on the world map, let's take a peek here. There was only really like one mission left for us to do, and I think given where it wasn't really viable. The rewards weren't terrible. We'll look at them in a second here. But I think it was like 5 days away, and I think we're probably at less than that now. So I don't know that there's any way we could make it. Let's see. I'll pause while we do this, just so nothing's happening. Yeah, so I think this item stash was the only thing we had left to do. It's 4.4 days left. And oh yeah, so we'd have to leave right now. I don't know that I care, to be honest. It's 2 guns and a glass table. Not that big a deal. There's a sleeping mech in the way. There's only one, so it wouldn't be that hard to kill it. Although maybe our guns aren't the best, but it's only one of them. It is asleep, so if we opened up on it right away, we could get the drop on it pretty easily. I'm not going to bother. That's a long time for our people to be away. Going to cost us a lot of food to get somebody out there. And I don't really care about more guns. We already have, I think, more guns than we know what to do with. Yeah, we've got this M110 that still needs somebody to use it. We've got a shotgun, a couple pistols, an AKS-74, which is not very good, but still serviceable at least. So yeah, I'm not going to worry about that. We're just going to focus on the base for the time being. Let's get that wall in now. Surprised they tore that down pretty quickly. Normally when I set up deconstruction projects, they ignore them until there's absolutely nothing else to do. But in this case, they got it done pretty quick. Okay. And most of these walls are done too. We'll need to do the back wall as well. I don't remember the effect of... Or, I don't know where I was going with that sentence. I know what I was trying to say, but I don't know why those words came out. So, I don't know how accurate this is, but I was under the impression, and this might be from an older version of the game, or it might still be true, that having proper walls, or at least smooth walls, decreases the infestation rate versus having like rough stone walls. And I don't recall whether or not that's actually the case. I'll have to look into it. But I recall seeing or hearing that somewhere. So I'll need to investigate, because I don't want to operate under that assumption. Although I guess there's nothing wrong with just assuming that, because we're going to be walling this stuff anyway, so it's not like we're going out of our way to do something for it, but just something I had thought I heard or something like that. So yeah. Is that how I had it? I don't know. We'll just try to keep this nice and thick, but I do want proper walls all along the edges. I don't want any stone exposed. Let's grab these guys. Just making sure everything's getting moved as we go along. How much uranium did we get out of this, I wonder? We'll have to wait until that makes it into a stockpile, but we have 75 somewhere. Probably in here. No, where is it? There it is. So we have 75 there, and then that's at least 100 right there. And that's another 100, so we'll say like 250 to 275. With that, we'll call it 350. And I don't remember how much these cost. Let's see, will it tell me here? No. We'll have to wait until we have that research done to see, but I'm pretty sure that's enough for at least one more of those. So that will help considerably, as will, of course, the biofuel refinery. When we get that going, we should forbid that. That does remind me as well, now that you guys are back. Oh, you're on lavish meals, okay. Oh, I actually didn't adjust the food restrictions here. I think that was the other playthrough. But generally what I do, well, at least in 1.0 what I do, is I'll set up a new food restriction. Oh, locks on his little confusion binge again. I'll set up a new food restriction strictly for caravans and allow them to eat everything, packaged survival meals included. And I'll remove the packaged survival meals from the lavish, which everybody else is on. And so that way they won't eat or even try to eat the survival meals that we have. Let's see, I feel like that needs to come out one more. Then we'll mine this out. I want it to be 3 thick at any point. I guess it's too late for that right here. Oh well. Wow. A lot of thunder happening there, out there. There's nothing to burn, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah. So let's see, we're going to want to mine that, and that, and that. And I guess we'll just add a little bit more to here, I suppose. Something to that effect. Machining research is done. Fantastic. They're going to do gunsmithing next, so we'll be able to start making our own weapons pretty soon. And again, I'm going to ignore the stuff from this mod. I don't recall why I left that one in, to be honest. There was a reason why I decided to leave that mod in, and I don't remember what it was. Oh, we missed the party. Missed the party. But I don't intend to use the modern guns at all in our colony, except for, of course, you know, for survival means like right now, where we have no other choice. But we're only going to be manufacturing the Fallout weapons that I've made through my mod. And I've answered this a few times, but I'll answer it again because I keep getting the question. Yes, the mod will be released, but when it's actually worth releasing. Right now it's just vault suits and a handful of weapons. That's the only thing in the mod. Oh, and the generator, which is still not 100% finished technically. It works, but the graphics are off, and there's still some functionality that needs to be fixed. So yeah, they will be released, or it will be released when it's ready to be released. In the meantime, if you're trying to like emulate this playthrough, there are several Fallout mods that already exist, and I believe the two main ones cover everything that's in my mod, except for probably the generator. But if you want vault suits, there are other mods that add them. If you want like laser rifles, there's other mods that add them. So in the meantime, I would just suggest using those, and when this mod is finished, I'll release it. Or, I mean, I'll release it before it's like 100%, but it needs to at least be like in a playable state, more so than it is now. How are we doing on beds? I think we should start mining out another living area. Or I could start doing these along the back wall. Because these are going to be regular bedrooms. That is going to be the overseer's office. Oh look, he actually got in there and did that one. Good thing too, because I didn't remember to forbid that. Okay, let's see. Let's fill that in. Just bring it all the way up to there. And then, now that they've done all that, we'll ask them to mine all of this out. We can fill in the wall. We'll need some light in here, but I am reluctant to tax our power grid any more than we already have, for the time being, at least. Again, when we have more power supply, I'll change that, but I don't want to put a giant chandelier in here, given that we're currently running a deficit. Let's see, I will mark that. Nope, almost had it for hauling, and that to get held off on until that's ready. We can get that out of the way too. This looks like it's going to be an even number, so I'll probably have to do a 2-wide door there if I want to center it. Don't necessarily have to center it though, because this is an awkwardly shaped room, so I could put the door further up on the wider part, but we'll see. Just whatever's practical, I guess. Fill that in as well. Don't wall her. Well, I guess that's forbidden, so she won't get walled in. At least she shouldn't. And, oh, we've struck more uranium. Perfect. Keep the uranium coming. We're going to need it. So while they do that, I'm going to talk a bit about plans for the center area. What I'm going to do is, I think this room here is going to become, or I guess it could be this one. One of these is going to become a cafeteria, so the cooking stuff will get moved into there. The seating, or at least most of it, will get moved into here. This center room is going to become a rec room. We'll put pool tables or poker tables and just stuff for them to do and blow off steam with. And all of these rooms will eventually be enclosed spaces. We're going to put doors on them. The doors will be held open. There's no reason to keep them closed unless we have like an infestation or something. But they'll be their own enclosed rooms. And that should help with cleanliness, although the base is pretty clean as it is. And the only issue I have from there is regarding the freezer. Because the freezer at the moment is here. And I don't want people to have to run back and forth like so in order to get the resources they need. Although, I guess technically they are traveling a bit far right now. So that's not that much more. But I was thinking if I make that the cafeteria, the freezer could go there. This could be the hospital. Or the medical ward or med bay, whatever you want to call it. And then we'll put the freezer there. It's not that much work. It's literally just moving a cooler. Well, I guess we'd have to rebuild it, but they're not that expensive. And then punching a hole, or punching a couple holes in the walls on this and filling in a couple on that. And then moving the benches, which isn't that big a deal. Luckily, these rooms are pretty sparsely populated, so it's, you know, not a whole lot of work to shift stuff around. But I'm just trying to think about this logistically. I do think the cafeteria should be probably in the front here. It makes more sense to hit that first, especially given that that's a fairly, well, I mean, they're both fairly central, but that's as far back as we can build. So we are going to be going further this way, further that way, further that way. So I think closer to the front makes more sense, because the back is pretty much as far back as it's going to go already. And again, I like having the hospital toward the front for that same reason, because generally if you're rushing somebody to the hospital in this game, they're on the verge of dying from something. So yeah, that's something I'd like to consider. Let's see, plan 13. So those three right there are our door, so I don't need to build any more on that end. Perfect. That worked out pretty well. Almost like I planned it. They just need to mine that out. We'll go ahead and ask them to fill that in. And while they're doing that, let's just have them dig all the way to here. Almost there. Almost there. That's going to be the end of that hallway. I might do something a little bit different on the end here. We'll have them dig that out. I'm going to leave a little indent wall behind it and put a heater there, I think. Just like I've done there. Oh, that reminds me. We finished machining. Did I get access to the new floors? I did. Good. We have steel grating now. I want steel grating all along this. In here. All across here. There, there, there. Here, and here. So that's all going to be steel grating. The steel grating doesn't get dirty easily. So if you read the tooltip, it says this steel paneling is not only durable but easy to clean. Most refuse slips right through its perforated surface. So anybody walking around on the soil doing agriculture stuff will track dirt. Hopefully the dirt will just fall right through over here and keep them from tracking it further into the base. It also looks very industrial, which is nice. Oh, and a couple people suggested putting aquaculture basins in this room. They're a little bit too big. Like I could squeeze one in there and like maybe one in the center here, but they're going to block walkways. So these are just going to get their own room somewhere. Not that big a deal. It'll probably be in this area though, because, well, not this area, but in an adjacent area, maybe this one. I just want all the food production to be, localized. Okay, almost done over here. Oops, I didn't mean to click off that, but there we go. That can be built now. And if we grab this, I will fill in the rest. Okay, so we're making progress. And yeah, let's create a big stockpile here. So stockpile zone, we'll fill this whole thing in. Oh, a little bit of lag there. Okay, we can just delete that section. This is going to be, we'll leave it on normal. I don't want any food there. No foods. Especially not fresh food. I don't want rotten food there either, to be honest. And then no chunks, no corpses, no oil, no waste. So yeah, just this type of stuff. And then I'm going to delete this stockpile right here. We'll get it out of there, into here. This is going to stay here for now. I don't want that to clutter up this whole stockpile, because it'll probably, it won't fill it, but it'll be close. So I'm going to leave that be for the time being. And if we create another stockpile, I'll probably move it into there. Might have one for resources and one for items or something like that. Okay, so now we want to fill this in. I will need to forbid that, otherwise they will definitely not do it. And that section of the base is sort of done. So I need to figure out what's going to be here now. Is it going to be one big room or like cut in half by another hallway? Obviously that'll determine what happens to this wall here. We'll probably need to tear out parts of it somewhere, or maybe the entire length of it. I don't know. We'll see. But I guess that does make sense to do, because otherwise this just dead ends, and so anybody that comes down this way will have to go back up and around. So maybe take it here and run it across there or something. That way they can get around just a little bit more efficiently in this area. We'll see. But I think what we want to do now is start mining out some rooms. We've got more space here now. We've got plenty of space to dump supplies. So it looks like they're still moving. Oh, right. Yeah. For some reason, my mind thought stone blocks, chunks, same thing. But yeah, we don't want stone blocks there. We want them to stay here. Although the overflow is fine, I guess. I'd prefer the rest of them stay right there. But anyways, now we have our giant stockpile room. We have more room in the power room, so next up is going to be more living spaces, because we have several prisoners that are on the verge of being recruited. So let's dig this on out. I guess just do all of that. Sure, yeah, just dig all that out. I guess I can have them do the other side too. So all that space and all this space. And we'll do the Overseer's room last because right now we don't have an Overseer. We're going to probably leave it up to democratic vote because I don't think I have another option, at least not initially. I don't know, the mod description says that there are multiple government types. And I think I addressed this in an earlier video, but I do like the idea of this mod. I like having a set leader, but my playthroughs tend to be more militaristic. This one obviously is not. It's a, you know, a vault. And so, at least with the nature of this vault... Uh-oh, what's happening? I don't know what that was, but the game was having a long, hard think about something. Anyways, at least with the nature of this vault, it makes sense to... Well, I mean, it could be up to us. I could designate an Overseer. I could leave it up to them. But because this vault isn't like a traditional Fallout vault with a set Overseer who's kind of in on it, we could go either way. I have options. But with my more militaristic playthroughs, I generally have a character that's sort of supposed to be the leader, commanding officer, whatever, and it'd be nice to have a way to be able to designate that person. But as far as I can tell, there isn't a way, and I have gone through the mod options, and I haven't found anything on it. So if any of you are familiar with this leadership mod, please let me know. It's possible that we have to build the box first and let them choose one, and then maybe I can go from there. I don't know. But I've never used that mod before, although we are using it in both playthroughs for 1.0. And so it'd be nice to know, you know, how I can go about using that more effectively. Okay, so the grading is in. I might just do the whole room. Okay, so gunsmithing is done. Not the guns that we're interested in making, though. We need to go a little bit further down the tech tree. Speaking of floors, we want more floors. Let's fill that in. And I guess we can do this as well. This needs a couple more walls. And... right, so I need these in the doorways. Okay. So yeah, just for the sake of consistency, I think I will do steel grating all through here. Because I think it looks a bit weird the way it transitions there. So yeah, let's just fill this whole thing in. Oh, our relationship with some factions just went down. It's to be expected, I suppose, unless we're actively interacting with them. That's what happens. Oh, I should grab that and bring it up here as well. Got that one, didn't get that one. And I'll have to let them finish digging this stuff out before I can really start filling it in. But we're pretty much right up against the build limit there. Yeah. I'm actually going to have to cheat right here. Unless I want to just smooth that back wall. But I'll probably just use the dev tools to spawn in the walls there and delete the resources. Just so that everything's nice and uniform. But yeah, we're right up against the build limit there. So that's as far north as we can go. Oh, Grim and Kate are getting married. Congratulations to them. We'll probably put in like a proper marriage spot. I generally don't bother. Again, militaristic playthroughs, you know, not really a marriage spot on a army base. But here it makes more sense. So I think when this becomes a rec room, we will put in something like a marriage spot so they can celebrate a little bit better. Or maybe we'll just have a small one in the cafeteria since that's where most of the seating will be. So where's this happening? It's happening here, okay. Looks like the prisoners are still working away, meanwhile. What are you guys doing? Oh, they can't get through here. I can't unlock this, so, what are you trying to do? Okay, so they're married. That's going to boost morale around the vault, especially for those two, so that's nice. They're trying to haul these, but they can't get through the door. I guess they're not smart enough to just walk around. It doesn't say a lot about their ability to contribute to this vault. Oh well. Oh man. That's funny. Okay. At least he decided to go do something else. How are you guys doing, by the way? Like, where are we at with you? So work and recruit. Still at 23. Is nobody really talking to them at all? Philly. 10. Andre's at 6.9 and Mars is at 24. So Andre's likely to be the next one to join us. But it certainly seems like we're not really staying on top of that. That's sort of Schmidt's job. Yeah, she should be doing that pretty frequently. Perkins, not bad. Pearl's not bad. I'm going to bump that down to 3 just to make sure that she's actively wardening at all times. Well, not at all times, but whenever she needs to. Because with 4 prisoners, they kind of need constant attention. We'll have to figure out where we want to put this turret as well. I don't really like these turrets, the vanilla ones. The range is just too poor. Most weapons outrange them, and so unless you have like melee people charging in, not going to help too much. And then you have to put it somewhere that will avoid friendly fire. Because if you pick the wrong spot, you could be, you know, shooting your own guys in the back with it. And you generally don't want that. Looks like we've got another cotton or cloth harvest coming through. That is nice. With the combat armor, I still haven't decided what I want them to cost. I know it's going to be steel and components, but I'm trying to decide if it should cost a little bit of leather. If you look at the combat armor in Fallout 4, there is quite a bit of leather on it. And so I think in terms of realism, it makes sense to have it, but then it could be kind of prohibitive to make because leather's not the hardest thing to come by. But, you know, I could just make it like any old thing, so we could make like lizard skin combat armor and just be like a steel plate with lizard skin on the back. I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna play with a couple of ideas, but it's something I've been figuring out because at least for the male body type, the armor is done. I have 4 variants. I think I mentioned this before, but there's like a light one that's just a little plate in the front. There's a medium one that is, I think, that plus like small shoulder pads. There's a slightly heavier one than that that's a larger plate on the chest, no shoulder pads, and then there's like the super heavy one, which is the heavy one from Fallout 4 that has like the, you know, the leg coverings, the full shoulders, full front and back coverage. And so there's 4 different ones, but because I made so many, I have to make texture like, you know, what is it? Probably 12 textures for each body type now, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's pretty tedious work. Pretty tedious work. I had a lot more fun making the Space Marine power armor because I only had to make them for the Hulk body type, so it was a lot less time spent on each individual thing. I could make more varieties. Alright, so one last thing before we call it a day. I think I'm going to make this steel grating as well, because again, I don't want them tracking dirt in from outside. Not that we venture out there as much as we used to. Having the bathrooms and water sources inside certainly helps with that. So the only thing I think we're going out there for now is to throw poop on the fire, but a lot of it's actually going into these composters. So even in that regard, we're doing it less. Yeah, she's always starving because she's got that stupid trait. That trait shows up too frequently too. I've noticed in all my playthroughs, it's one of the more common ones. But anyways, I think we'll leave it there for today. So not particularly exciting, but we did make some nice progress on the base. We got this whole thing done, which is great. We've finished a couple research projects, and we're halfway through this one. So once we get through gas operation, we'll be able to start making I believe, all of the ballistic Fallout guns, so anything that shoots a bullet. However, if we want more laser rifles, which is kind of what I'd like to be our standard issue firearm, we're going to need to go to whatever the one is at the end of the weapon tree. Oh no, not at the end, at least not anymore. Pulse charge. I don't know what these are all from, but the laser rifle should be in there with the charge rifle. So yeah, we'll need to get to there, at least to do laser rifles on our own. So that's where I'll leave it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I had a great time playing some RimWorld with you, and I look forward to seeing you guys back here for the next episode.